immediately went into a specialization, either painting or sculpture, etc. And here at the Layton School of Art, you spent your first full year just exploring your art making opportunities. This is what the land looks like today. After being abandoned for many decades, they finally built high-end condominiums on the corner of Knapp and Prospect. So when people tell you, or if you read about the Layton School of Art, you can assure them that unfortunately the school died, but the plot of land became condos. The irony of it all. The irony is that my mother-in-law stayed in Milwaukee and continued to teach. Ed came here to South Carolina, but the faculty of the Layton School of Art established a new art school eventually, and they called it the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. And eventually it found a home in one of these industrial buildings that Ed had painted decades before. And that is where you find it today, the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. So my mother-in-law was instrumental in getting it established, as well as the other faculty who persevered and believed that in their community they should have an art school. Now, this is the bad one. This is the worst of the worst. And I have, again, another apology for all of you. And this is I am remiss in this, and I was incapable of saving it. This is Marquette University, a Catholic school. And Ed, in the Brooks Memorial Union, Ed did a very beautiful mosaic mural that ran the length of this entire wall and this wall and was curved and had emblems of Catholicism on a beautiful white and blue mosaic wall. The building was slated for demolition, and I was informed about it. I went there to speak with, they had a small art museum on campus. I went there to speak with the director of the arts museum at that time. He had zero interest in Ed Lewandowski's work. So what did I then next do? Pardon? I wrote to the president, that unfortunate. I talked with Dolores here. Then what did I do?
Picket.
I know, even better than picket, then I went to the press, you know, and kind of shamed them into it. And moving a mosaic mural is a very costly endeavor. And it would have been thousands of dollars to save the mural, I know that. But I was willing to donate at least part of my services to saving either the whole mural or part of the mural. I don't know what happened. This is what I was told happened. That they brought in masons who cut out sections of the mural and the rest of it went to the landfill. Now, it isn't because I didn't try. And I say to each one of you tonight, I did try. I gave it my best. Not just because I loved Ed Lewandowski and his work, but because I thought it was an important part of Wisconsin's history and an important part of our own art history. I know that some of you are taking Paul Matheny's class about South Carolina art history, and it is a revelation, is it not? This state has a rich history in the arts, as we do in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, we don't even have a course like that in Wisconsin, of Wisconsin's art history, and you do here with Paul Matheny, who comes once a month from Columbia. So my apologies to you that I could not save the Marquette University mosaic mural of Ed Lewandowski and his work. Now we're going to go up to this little town of Algoma, which was a fishing village. And this is one of Ed's paintings, his watercolors, called The Pride of Algoma. Pride of Algoma was the title of the ship. It's a watercolor, very beautifully executed. I forget which year it is, I think 1949, shortly before he left for Tallahassee. And this is what Algoma looks like today. it is still a beautiful, picturesque little fishing village. Cold in the winter, but beautiful in the summer. Like to die for with its lovely climate and the river that Ed glorified. Edwin would go up in the fall and the summer to Door County. This is that little chunk of land like your thumb that Wisconsin is kind of like the opposite of Michigan. Michigan is kind of like this, Wisconsin is like that. And this chunk of land is known as Door County. And Ed would go up there. Would be many little motels along the way that he could stop and stay out with him and his wife. So you have these various little fishing shanties and fishing houses along the way. Now this particular piece is called Pride of Algoma, and I believe that the correct title might be Devil's Gateway, because the depth of the channel here is not the Algoma River. It is the branch of land between Door County and the mainland. And it is wide like that. So further research, all the answers have not been found on the research on Ed Lewandowski. So if there are people who wish to undertake this as a research project or want to do further investigation, all more power to them. Again, this is what Algoma looks like today, a beautiful little clean town. Here's what it looked like years ago with the fishing boats along the river, the various buoys, these little fishing shanties. Another view of the river. This is another view of this is called Devil's Gateway. And why is it called Devil's Gateway? Because this branch of the channel has extremely dangerous currents that have strong undertow, etc. I know that as a kid in my neighborhood, we lived right along the lake in our little town there, that our next door neighbor girl had been pulled under and drowned from these strong currents that one encounters along that part of the lake. So it is actually quite dangerous. But again, Ed's work here glorifies the the topography of the lighthouses and the architecture of that part of the state. And this I find very ironic. In Algoma, Wisconsin, they've opened an art academy right where Ed used to paint. They had no knowledge of Ed's work, so I informed them. And I said that I would give them a talk in the future about Ed Lewandowski after I gave my talk here in South Carolina. So the irony of the place that Ed so much celebrated on his summer vacations, now there's an art academy there. Here is a Wisconsin barn, and remember, our barns in Wisconsin are always red. They are habitually red, and they're always red. And these barns, it's red oxide that are used to paint them. You have white barns in other parts of the United States, but we have red barns, and Ed glorified and documented these red barns in his watercolors and other paintings. The topography of the land, that is the large wheat fields and these distant structures, the farms in the background. This is all very typical of an area known as the Moraine, M-O-R-A-I-N-E. Now remember, unlike South Carolina, where you have these fabulous mountains, how long a drive is it to the mountains here? 2 or 3 hours? 2 hours? And then down to Myrtle Beach, 2 hours maybe? 4 hours. These structures in the back here are our mountains, are our equivalent to hills and mountains, known as the moraine, because when the great glaciers came across North America and carved out and became Manitoba and Wisconsin and Minnesota, Ontario, etc., they scraped flat the land and left debris, which is gravel. And these little mountains are made out of gravel. Here's Ed looking at a Japanese work of